Welcome back to another week of Talking Technical, and as always, thank you for watching the show. And we've got some wonderful charts again. Some is requests, and some just caught my eye, and I thought, whoa, 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 we must show this to the viewers. And the first one is SMCI, Super Microcomputer Systems. Now, I mean, this share is listed on the NASDAQ. But look what we see here. I mean, in the period, let's say from August to December, nothing happened. And the share just consolidated and did absolutely nothing. Look at this consolidation. I can actually just show you a little bit bigger here. Let's have a look here. And then the word artificial intelligence started to kick off, or AI. And this share rocketed from 356 Rand, let's make it say 350 Rand, in a matter of 6 weeks, all the way up to, can you believe it, the high was 1077. So just shows you the momentum. When people buy news and they buy a rumor, then the share can just rocket or fall to pieces. And look what happened here. I maybe must just show you. Right before this consolidation broke to the upside, there was a tiny little breakaway gap here. And maybe that was the trigger for the share to really rocket to the top. But what happened? Last week, as always we know, and I've said it many a year on the program, a lamp pole formation, if you like it or not, eventually triggers some profit taking. Doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter who's saying what. If a share rallies from $300 to $1,050, let's say in a matter of 6 weeks, it is just normal that the share must come under pressure and that there's some sellers around. Now look what happened there. It went up to that 1077 level, and then in one move, and remember this is a daily chart, not even a weekly chart, on the Friday of the 16th, it just dropped almost 20%. And I mean, that's just one ugly bearish engulfing candle. In actual fact, I will call it a marubuzu candle to say this thing is nasty, it is negative, and things can maybe turn sour. So just remember, if you buy a theme like artificial intelligence or commodity or property or banks, doesn't matter what you want to buy. It remembers if it rallies too fast, it can easily come back. If you buy it right at the top, it will probably burn you. This share never gave any lower highs. Look what happened. It went higher high, higher high, higher, all the way to the top. And then this one move to the downside. So just keep it in mind. If you're involved with a theme, be careful. It can maybe just surprise you all the way when it turns around. Let's have a look at another share, Tesla. Now remember, they also involved with car manufacturing, but the more you read about them, people say that they actually an information technology company. And what they do is they not just develop and market cars and manufacture them, but they also quite big into companies like, can you believe it, PayPal and all those companies. So what happened? Look at this ugly sell-off. And there you are. You can almost say it's a waterfall formation all the way to the downside. Let's have a look there. You can see all the way to the downside there. One way, trend is down, nothing can turn it around. And there was a gap. I just want to show you the gap. There was the opening of the gap. And there was another gap. The gap was there. Let's have a look here. There you are. And what happened? When it turned around, it first gave a waterfall formation, then it gave us a higher low, and we are now in the gap. And this gap will close at, there's the level 206.27. So below 206.27, the gap is still open, but it looks like if I look at this strong bullish candle, there's a tiny little gap here, like a breakaway gap, but I think we'll probably close this gap again. Always remember, while the gap is open, the momentum is to the downside, and if there's a gap opening like here on the downside, it will probably close one of these gaps and then make up its mind if it wants to go up or down. That's the bottom line here. You must always prepare yourself. If you trade between gaps, gaps can be quite an interesting factor. There's another one here. If it really goes there, the gap is sitting between, there you are, 225.34, and it will close at 225.37. So maybe we'll see this. But remember, Tesla, one of those massive companies, really saw some ugly selling, and maybe we close, but close to maybe a little bit of a turnaround. If you want to buy, I will rather wait for these gaps to close before you really get involved, so that you can see either this gap close or this gap close. But I mean, that's one of the things. If you look out for a share, be careful between gaps, but you can always make decisions around it, especially if it's a low, a higher low, and inside this gap, you might be maybe wait for a little bit. Let's have a look at Pick n Pay, and I must show the share. And the reason why I'm showing it, apart from that, we did call it earlier in the year. In actual fact, it was the very first share that we picked for the year on the weekly chart in the newsletter. And the reason why we picked it, it was such a dog of the market. Nobody loved it. Everything was just against the company. And I've seen that many, many a time in my life. If everybody hates a company, and a lot of companies come into that, they either out of favor, the commodities maybe goes against them, the banking costs are maybe too high, or something happens within the company, and suddenly the company is out of favor. Then things can really turn out to be nasty. So what I always ask myself, and I also teach a lot of our newsreader letters, our readers, I always ask them, if you want to buy a company, like you buy a Pick n Pay, or it doesn't matter which, let's say FirstRand, you want to buy FirstRand, and you really want to buy it, but the one question that you must always ask yourself, this company, can it really go under? And if the answer is no, and you've got a good idea that it will not go under, then maybe look out to buy it. So if you look at it, where did we look at the share? Look at that, there's the trend line all the way to the downside, and we called it around, I think, 21.72. Look what happened. There was the low, there was the higher low, there's a higher low, there's a higher low, and now we've just made a new higher high. That's all bullish. What worries me, there's a little bit of a gap here. Let's get that gap. But as always, while this gap is open, we can maybe be surprised that this gap will call some more buyers. That gap sits between 26.01 and 25.98. That's this gap. But I believe that maybe we're lucky to maybe close this gap. That's the period when the share came out and they really warned and said, listen guys, our profits are under pressure. We maybe need to do some things to change it around. What did they do? They call an old CEO of theirs, maybe a retired guy, Mr. Summers. He came in, and it looks like what he does is he's starting to turn the company around. And this gap is sitting between 28.49 and 29.62. But I'm looking at something else here. With this massive fall, there was also a tiny or an inverse head and shoulder in the making now. Let's have a look there. There you are. And if you look at the share, can you believe it? There you are. Inverse head and shoulder. Now, as you all know, an inverse head and shoulder is a reversal pattern for the positive. And there's the left shoulder. There's the head. There you are sitting on the right shoulder. And what's my targets? There it is. If you project it to the upside, always from the head to the neckline. And if I project it to the top, let's see where it can go. And hopefully it can go past this gap and close this gap. So this target of this inverse head and shoulder will be 30.78 if it plays out. But as always, this chart showed us an early reversal. And I've tweeted it the other day. If you are a kind of guy or an investor or a trader that love early reversals, that love charts that shows you early opportunities to buy or to get involved, it's maybe time that you consider writing into our newsletter or the candle of the day. It's only 370 Rand per month. There's no commitment for 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years. I doubt if I will live that long. But it's a month-to-month basis. And by the way, you can also ask about some of your shares that you would like us to analyze for you, and we will do the first 5 always free of charge. Let's have a look at another chart. Transaction capital. I mean, we also called the share, and can you remember that it was my friend that I said that he invested his money in here, right at the bottom here at around 5 Rand, 4 Rand 30, because he had no pension. As I also said, he passed away, unfortunately, in the meantime. So I will call this share a brilliant call right at the bottom. I think we called it also at around 4 Rand 20, 4 Rand 25 for our viewers. And look what this share is doing. It's going all the way up. I think it maybe overshot a little bit. Look at it. There's a possible tweezer top there. But I mean, the long-term charts are starting to look even more promising. So for my friend that's not here, I do it in honor of him to just remind him wherever he is, he made a brilliant call and the share did exactly what he thought the share will do. And where's the first warning signal? The first warning signal will be below 9 Rand and 8 cents. Below 9 Rand and 8 cents, we can maybe see levels. Let's give you the levels. 8 Rand 82. There you are, 8.59, and maybe back to this support area of around 8 Rand 40. But just shows you if another dog of the market, everything is against them, nothing wants to work out, and then suddenly things start to turn for the better, and the share starts to move all the way up. And as you can clearly see, the trend is clearly to the upside. Maybe we ran a bit away now from the support line, but still, I mean, an investment from 4 Rand 24 to 9 Rand 60 from October, it is massive. It's double your money. But we also said when it was around here, don't sell your farm to buy it. Buy only a little bit, because the company at that point in time, people thought that the company can maybe real go under. Let's have a look at another share. Harmony. Now, I'm always nervous about companies where you've got deep mines. In the case of Harmony, it's exactly the case. They've got deep mines. They've got a wonderful commodity in the sense of gold, very much so in a favor. And deep mines, difficult workforce with load shedding, but they've got also mines up in Africa. But for me, this chart looks like it wants to make a topping pattern. And I'm a little bit worried. And if I look at this line here, there you are. I can actually do that. And that is sit exactly at 104 Rand. And maybe we're sitting here on a double top. There's a top. There's a top. It's either called an irregular top maybe, because the one is a little bit higher than the other one. But for me, it can be 1, 2, 3, a triple top. And below 104, where can the share go to? Let's just have a look here. And nothing against the company, nothing against the management or whatever. I'm just nervous about this chart. If I look at this chart, it can maybe take us all the way down to 90 Rand and 50 cents. If it plays out, there's a gap here right at the bottom between 75.07 and let's call that high 74.17. But I mean, this first target is around 90 Rand if it plays out. So if you want to short or you want to sell, maybe think about selling at around 109.35. Use your stop loss of 114 Rand and 21 cents. And let's see if it plays out. Otherwise, if it breaks above this line, as always, it can break above 125.06. It can maybe go much higher. So let's see. It's always a case. Remember, technical analysis is always a case, either one side or the other side. And as always, I want to say, it is never a holy grail. There's nothing perfect about it. There's usually an 80-20, 70-30 call ratio. We've seen over the years that we sit on about an 80-20, but it depends. But let's see. Just watch Harmony below 104, although gold is in favor. I'm a little bit worried about this chart. Well, thank you for watching the shows. Thank you for visiting our website. And thank you for subscribing to our services. Visit our website, www www.fransdeklerk.com for more info. And as always, we will chat again.